Today's video is going to be all about multiple sclerosis, causes, symptoms, and treatment options. This video is going to be the ins and outs of living with an autoimmune disease, what exactly it is, and what you can expect from your life. So first things first, what is MS? MS is a neurological condition that affects the central nervous system, which includes the brain and the spinal cord. Multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune disease. So what an autoimmune disease means is that the immune system mistakenly attacks itself. In the case of MS, the immune system attacks the myelin surrounding the nerves. So what is myelin? Myelin is the protective covering of nerve fibers. When I was first diagnosed with MS, I was 16 years old, so I was super young, and the way that the doctors explained it to me was really helpful. So if you picture a wire, the wire has a protective layer around it, and essentially what happens is the myelin is that protective layer that gets attacked. And so that protective layer around a nerve or an electrical wire, which is just an easier way to understand it, gets attacked, and so that disrupts the flow of messages through those pathways. So obviously I am no doctor. If my explanation is a little bit rudimentary or confusing, then you can look up some videos online to fully understand what exactly is happening. But essentially, like I said, that myelin is destroyed, which disrupts the flow of messages. So what does that mean on an everyday basis? That means that we're going to experience an array of different symptoms. So like I said, MS is a chronic neurological condition that affects the central nervous system, which is the brain and the spinal cord. And so that means that many of our symptoms can look very different because we all have different areas where our lesions are found. So lesions are found within the brain. No two people with MS have the exact same symptoms. So it's very important that you kind of understand for yourself what is happening within your own body. So I'm just going to quickly give an overview of the various symptoms that you might experience. You might experience some or all of these, and if there are some that I haven't mentioned, then please know that is still valid and completely normal for you and your body and the way that you relate to your disease. What can you experience from living a life with MS? You might have a lot of headaches, a lot of fatigue, a lot of brain fog. You might have a lot of back problems. You could have numbness or tingling at various points in your body. I experience a lot of numbness in my legs, a lot of tingling and pins and needles in my hands and in my feet. You might experience trouble with your short-term memory, remembering a bunch of things, remembering people or names, things like that, places or people. That is super normal. You also might have trouble with balance. It can really affect your balance and your movement. So you could have trouble with balance, you could have trouble with movements and coordination. That is also very normal. Another thing that it might affect is your vision. You could have a blurry vision. You could also go blind. A lot of people go blind, and that is what leads to their diagnosis. With the correct treatment, that blindness can improve. Some people might go deaf. What led to my diagnosis was I experienced deafness in my right ear, and that's what subsequently led to my diagnosis. I experienced a lot of other symptoms, but that was just one of the things that I experienced. Like I said, you could experience all or none of these symptoms. Another thing that a lot of people with MS experience is muscle weakness, and like I said, coordination and balance, walking problems. A lot of us experience so much chronic back pain, and this can affect your ability to walk. The numbness can also affect your ability to walk. There is treatment that can radically improve these symptoms. So although I'm saying what all of these symptoms are, I don't want you to feel really disappointed and upset and feel like there's never going to be a chance for you to live a healthy life. There definitely is a way for you to live a healthy life. However, you do need to understand that these symptoms are very normal, and so you're just going to have to make lifestyle adjustments to suit these symptoms. So for example, if walking with a stick helps you, then please by all means do that. You might even want to get a wheelchair. Things like that are completely okay for you to do in order for you to live a happy life. There's nothing wrong with getting walking aids. any kind of aid that's going to help you. I had a friend that had MS and they got a support animal which really helped them cope in social situations, and I think that that is just so incredible. So there are so many different things that you can do to help you live a better life. Whatever that is, I don't want you to shy away from that. Please put your health first. I really urge that you go out and get the help that you need and find a community of people that can support you. It is so important that you live a happy life and that you know that you can live a happy life. Even if you have an autoimmune disease, even if you have this disability, you can still live a wonderful life with MS. You just have to make lifestyle adjustments in order to make that happen. So now that I've gone through the symptoms, I want to go into treatment options available for people with MS. There are so many different treatment options. It is important that you consult your neurologist because they will be able to give you the best advice to figure out what treatment is right for you, and that will depend on what kind of MS you have. So there are two different types of MS, which is primary progressive MS and relapsing remitting. So it is important that you consult with your neurologist and you get on the treatment that is best going to serve you. So I go for Ocrevus infusions every 6 months. My symptoms have improved so much since going on Ocrevus, and I am just so grateful that I found this medicine. Prior to Ocrevus, I was on Tecfidera. Tecfidera was a medication that I took twice a day, and it made me flush, and I had, I think, about 3 or 4 relapses throughout my time on Tecfidera, so it was not a good fit for me. The medication just did not work for me. I would get really hot flushes. I would just feel really, really sick taking the medication, so it did not work for me. And since going on Ocrevus, I have had very few relapses. I think I've had maybe 1 relapse, if I'm not mistaken, and that was because there was a delay in my medication, and that happened when the world shut down and I had trouble getting my Ocrevus. But I have been on Ocrevus for about, it must be 5 years now, and it has done wonders for my health. I am probably in the best health that I have ever been in. Like I said, I was diagnosed when I was 16. I'm 26 now, so I've lived with MS for a really long time. I actually lost my train of thought, which is such an MS thing. And I'm experiencing a little bit of brain fog throughout this video, so sorry if I'm all over the place. It's just what happens. But what I was saying is I've lived with MS for a really long time, and so I can't really remember a time when I felt super, super healthy. Prior to my diagnosis, I was sick since I was about 13, having experienced a lot of symptoms, which led to my diagnosis. But basically what I'm trying to say is that I feel the best that I've felt in my whole life, and that is really due to Ocrevus, and I'm so grateful that I found that medicine. And this is also not to say, and I also don't want to discredit everything else I do for my health, like my lifestyle changes and my diet changes have made a drastic improvement on my health, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But I just want to continue speaking about treatment options. So there are treatment options that can improve your symptoms, but not all treatment options will be able to improve all of your symptoms. For example, I still experience a lot of brain fog, a lot of fatigue, a lot of back pain and things like that. So Ocrevus hasn't improved all of my symptoms, but it's definitely drastically improved my overall sense of well-being and my overall life and how good I feel. So I really am grateful for Ocrevus. Like I said, that is an infusion that I take once every 6 months. So there we go. That's it with Ocrevus. There are so many other treatment options, and the reason why it is so important for you to go on treatment if you have MS is because treatment slows down the progression of the disease, which is of course something that we want if we have a disease. So treatment is going to slow down the progression of the disease, which is going to drastically improve your life and your quality of life. So there are treatments out there that reduce inflammation within the body and can also modify the immune system response, which is very important. So that is what the medications can do, and that's super important, and why I highly recommend speaking to a neurologist or having a doctor that can advise what treatment is going to be best for you. And then we move into other kinds of treatments. So like I said, I already discussed the medications and what those can do for your MS, but then we also have things like physical therapy and OT and things like that. So these are super important because this is going to help all the ways in which MS affects the body. So like I said, people with MS can struggle with muscle weakness, pain in the body, a lack of coordination, loss of balance, things like that. And so what's going to help all of this is going to be your physical therapy, your OT, and exercise and lifestyle changes. And so you really want to think about strengthening the body and doing practices that are going to help you. And then within that, we can also include things like acupressure or acupuncture. You can also have things like yoga. All of this is going to help improve your physical body and just give you a lot of strength and also relieve pain and the pain that you are storing in your body. So it's important to treat everything. So you're not just looking at medical medications that you can take, medical treatments. You also want to be looking at more alternative things like acupuncture for back pain, yoga for strengthening the back and stretching out the back if you have a lot of pain. You also want to be looking at going to physical therapy or OT if you're having trouble with balance and coordination, because all of that is going to work on your whole body so that you can help your muscle weakness, so that you can help your coordination, and just so that you can live in a really strong body that's going to carry you throughout your life. Doing yoga drastically improved my health. It improved not only my physical health, but also my mental health. I have said in the past how much I was struggling with back pain. I could barely walk. I would be in so much pain at the end of the day from walking anywhere. And for a long time, I thought that I'm just going to stop walking and I'm going to live more of like a sedentary lifestyle, but that did not help me at all. So I started incorporating yoga into my lifestyle, and that has strengthened my core and my back, and now I can walk. And I also find that walking is a really good way to help strengthen your back. Don't do anything crazy, like I'm not suggesting to go on a hike or anything like that, but just going on a couple of slow walks a week will really help improve your back pain and your core and just help move your body. It will also show you where your weak spots are so that you can then take that to a professional physical therapist, or you can go to an acupuncture person, anyone that can help you, even getting massages, things like that. I think it's just important that we know what's happening with our body. You want to be doing a lot of things that strengthen your core and your back, since so many of us struggle with back pain because MS does affect the spinal cord. I had to quickly stop the video and get myself a cherry CBD because I have numb legs and pins and needles, which is such an MS thing. And if you're watching this video, you probably have MS and will definitely know what I'm talking about with sitting down for too long and getting tingles in your legs and numbness. So this is a good segue to lead me on to my next point. Let me quickly open my kombucha. We love CBD here. That's good. Okay. That is a good little segue to lead me on to my next point, and that is all about holistic living and just incorporating a bunch of different healing modalities into your life. So for example, if you suffer from a lot of back pain, then something like CBD can also be really helpful. I have amazing CBD balm that I put on my back, which really helps. CBD also relaxes you. So very, very important thing to note is that stress management is like the top thing that you have to handle if you're diagnosed with MS. Really look at that, because stress has such a negative impact on people who have MS. In the times that I have been the most stressed in my life were the times that I had the most relapses. And this is not something that I'm making up. My neurologist is often asking me about my stress and ensuring that I'm living a life that has a lot of things to help me cope with my stress and my anxiety, because it is a known fact that that can negatively impact people living with MS and can induce those symptoms. And so stress management is something that you really want to look at if you have an autoimmune disease, and figure out ways that you can handle your stress, whether that is going on medication or whether that is taking the holistic route. Everyone who is here on my channel probably knows that I am more of a holistic person, which is why I like things like CBD, yoga, meditation. Those are all very important for me in my life. It helps with my mental health and it also helps me cope with stress. Another really important key factor with living with MS is having a look at your diet. It's important that you have an anti-inflammatory diet because inflammation and autoimmune diseases kind of go hand in hand, so you want to have a diet that is healthy for you. So I like to incorporate a lot of anti-inflammatory foods, but also regardless of the anti-inflammatory foods, you just want to make sure that you're eating really well. If you're struggling with things like brain fog and chronic fatigue, then your diet is going to play a huge role in how you're feeling, and you really want to be tackling that. So you need to be hydrated, you need to be having a lot of healthy fats, and you need to be eating enough food to nourish your body. You want to be eating enough food so that you're nourishing yourself. Your body is going through so much stress as it is. Having an autoimmune disease is hard on the body. And so you really want to be giving yourself nourishing foods that are going to help you. You also have to think about the fact that your immune system is going to be a little bit lower, especially if you're going on Ocrevus. Something like that kills the immune system, and so you want to be eating good foods that are going to help you not get sick, because also people with MS can get a lot more sick than people without an autoimmune disease. So you just want to take all of these things into consideration and just make sure you're having a really healthy diet so that you're nourished, so that it helps with your brain, it helps you fight everything that's going on, and so that you feel your best. I know that eating well also really helps with stress and with your mental health, as well as obviously your physical health. But I think mental health sometimes gets overlooked if you have an autoimmune disease. So having an autoimmune disease, your mental health is really important to take into consideration. The emotional impact that it can have is also quite severe, so you really want to make sure that you're looking after your mental health. You need to have a community of people that you can talk to, especially if you need help. I really recommend a therapist, especially if you have not really come to terms with your diagnosis or you haven't processed your diagnosis. And especially if you don't have a community of people around you, then I highly recommend a therapist or some kind of support group to just help you get through it. All of us living on the planet are going to have issues in our everyday life, and having an autoimmune disease on top of that can be really taxing on our souls. And so I think it's important that we always remember that we are a full body, mind, body, spirit. And so you want to be feeding yourself on all of these levels. If we're just feeding our minds and we're just feeding our bodies and we're completely ignoring this spirit that we have within us, the soul essence, then I think we're going to be quite unhappy. And so I love alternative spirituality. So I love things like meditation, I love sacred practices, cacao ceremonies, having ritual and ceremony in my life. I am very much into all the kind of witchy woo-woo things, and that is just stuff that completely feeds my soul, and I absolutely love my practices, and I swear by my practices. They make me so happy. And this is what's important in life, being happy. Living a happy life is so important, living a fulfilled life. I know that a lot of us can get really down having an autoimmune disease, and so you want to have these practices in place that are actually going to help serve and nourish you. You're going to be nourishing your body with foods, with your medication that you're on, and then you also want to be nourishing your spirit and your soul essence, and to not ignore that, because that is so important with this full rounded life that we're living here on this planet. It is so important. And then another really important thing is having a support group and a community of people who also have MS. So I've said this previously on another video that I recorded, but something that I said was, please do not join doom and gloom Facebook groups. Having a community of people who have MS is important because you want to have that shared experience. But I do not at all like doom and gloom Facebook groups, because I think that it can become really toxic and negative. And if you are diagnosed with MS, I'm sorry, but you do not want to be hearing about how your life is going to be so terrible and all these terrible things are going to happen to you. You don't want to hear that. You need people who are going to lift you up, to tell you that everything's going to be okay, to tell you that yes, it's going to be hard, but we're going to get through this together as a loving community. I do not like the idea of having any toxicity in my life. I already have an autoimmune disease. I'm already going through so much. The last thing I need on my plate are people telling me how terrible my life is going to be because I have this immune disease. That is not going to make you feel better. And so it's important that you surround yourself with positive people and that you see positive people living and doing the things that they were already doing and want to do, have goals, have dreams, even though they have a disease. Regardless of the fact that they have this disease, they're still going to live their lives. And that doesn't mean at all that you're ignoring the fact that you have a disease. I definitely don't think that we should bypass the fact that we have a disease and push our bodies to extreme limits. That's not what I do. I'm not running 10K marathons or anything like that. I think it's incredible if you're doing that, but I'm definitely not running any marathons or hiking Mount Everest. But what I am doing is what I can do. So I push myself in a very, very gentle way. And so I think it's just important that you have positive communities who speak really positively, who have uplifting stories, who are doing incredible things in the world, that you find what works for you. So if you want to go and run a 10K marathon, or I don't know, like a 50K marathon, if you want to hike Mount Everest and you have an autoimmune disease, go and do that. Do what works for you. But whatever you do, do not listen to people who are giving you really, really negative feedback. That is definitely not what I suggest. I think that you should listen to your body. If it's too hard for you to go on a long walk, then don't go on a long walk. Honor yourself. All about honoring yourself and surrounding yourself with positivity and just listening to your own body, tuning into yourself and really thinking, what do I need? And how am I going to feel better? That's a bit of a yin and yang. You want to be pushing yourself and getting outside of your comfort zone, but not to the point where you feel like you are ignoring your own inner needs. Yes, definitely don't join any negative Facebook groups, but rather surround yourself with a community of people who are kind, who are supportive, who are going to push you and going to encourage you to get out of your comfort zone, but also who are going to encourage you to listen to your own body. I'm someone that values rest, taking it easy, listening to my body, stopping when I need to stop, and going when I feel like I have the energy and the capacity to go. But this is a personal journey and you just have to do what works for you. So that's what I really, really recommend. Find what works for you, and I promise you that your life is still going to be absolutely beautiful. I don't want you to be at all freaked out that you have this disease, because I want you to know that you can still live a happy, wonderful life. I am living proof of that. I love my life, and yes, I have difficult days. Yes, it's really, really hard to have a disease, and I really just want to honor that. Like, I don't want to say that this is the easiest thing and everything's going to be fine. Like, really just honor the fact that this is hard, but you're going to get through it, and we're going to get through it together. And that's what a loving, supportive community is. If you don't have a loving, supportive community, I hope that you will lean on me to be your loving and supportive friend. I am here with you. I am going through the same things that you're going through. It's very hard. I'm giving you so much love and so much support. So please know that you can lean on me. You can reach out to me if you need to, and I will be here for you. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Like I said, this is just a little bit about living with multiple sclerosis, what you should do and what you can expect from your life, all the different things that you can incorporate into your life to help you cope on a mind, body, spirit, soul level. There are so many different things that you're going to do, treatment options, and then also holistic options. I promise you that everything is going to be okay. And like I said, I am here for you if you need anything. Always feel free to leave a comment down below and I will get back to you. I'm sending you all my love. I am really giving you guys a big hug, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are in the world. Bye bye now.